Okay guys, so today we're going to make sure that you have your logo, your initials, your whatever you want to refer to it as, your stamp that you're making for your artwork. We've got it in Photoshop, created in Photoshop, saved as a brush, but now we also want to put it in Illustrator. So before we get started, let's actually make sure that it's saved as a brush. I have not yet saved this as a brush in Photoshop. And remember, it's specific only to that user on that computer. So once you save a brush, it only exists on that computer within that software under that user login and nowhere else. Okay, so I have created my design here, and I've altered it a little bit. It's basically a simple font, but I've altered it a little bit. Now, and I put a little box around it. Okay, the first thing I want to do is make sure I've got my brush in Photoshop. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go Edit, Define Brush Preset. And you can see immediately it pops up right there. So we know that Photoshop is recognizing what I want it to recognize. I'm going to title it MB for my initials. Currently it is 1519 pixels, 1519 pixels. That's really irrelevant because you can size it up or down after it's been saved. And then I hit OK. Now, right from Photoshop, you can see I've got the no symbol right now. I'm going to hit Command N for a new document within Photoshop, just so I can test this out, make sure it is in fact there. I'm going to go over to 8.5 by 11 vertically, and I'm going to set that, and then there is my brush. Let me choose some bright colors that will make it show, and my opacity must be dropped somewhere. I will have to work with that, but at this point you are able to really select anything and then stamp out your brush. Okay, so there is my brush. Obviously when you use this on artwork you do want the opacity to be lower, so that's probably okay, but I should go back and check as to why that's not coming up quite as opaque as it should. But there's my brush. Now of course if I want it smaller, left bracket, and if I want it bigger, right bracket. One thing that's really important that I need to explain to you is if you see, so let's say, actually I'll show it to you in Illustrator. So left bracket, smaller brush, right bracket, bigger brush, okay? And then there is that. So we've got our brush in Photoshop. I'm going to back out of this and go back to my black, my original black, back out into here and have my original design that I made that's just in black with a transparent background. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to hit Command C for copy. And I've got Illustrator open in a new document. I'm going to come over here, click on Illustrator first, and then I'm going to hit Command V for paste. And that should take a second and it should show up. If for any reason it doesn't show up, we'll come back here to Photoshop and we will click and drag and do it like that. We can do it, that's just as easy. We'll just do it that way. Okay, so now we've got your initials or your logo design in Illustrator. So I'm in Illustrator. Please pay attention to this. It's really simple, but it's important that you follow each step. So first of all, to make this officially in Illustrator to be used as the signature on your Illustrator work, you need to go to Image Trace. And as soon as I place this here, drag this here, this little part will come up, Image Trace. We're going to come down to here, and we're going to hit, you know what, we'll go ahead and hit black and white logo. Sometimes black and white logo is not the best option because it'll change the document's color settings. But let's go with black and white for now. Now I'm going to go over and look at this. I want you to see that when I did that, it became a white background and not a transparent background. So now I'm going to hit expand. Now that I've hit expand, it's breaking all of that information up. So I'm going to click off to the side so that none of it is selected. I'm going to go to the white arrow. Now I'm going to click inside of here on this white, and I'm going to hit Command X. I'm going to click inside of here, and on the white, I'm going to hit Command X, and here on the white, and hit Command X. Back to the black arrow, and now you see when we drag this off, it does in fact have a transparent background. Can't tell right here because it's on white, but there it is, a transparent background. Now, You will be making work on Illustrator throughout the semester. We need to save this so that you can use it later on as a signature in the corner of your work. Okay, so it'd be kind of something like that. But I don't want to have to open this document every single time and drag it in here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to select this with the black arrow. We're going to open the symbols panel. If you don't have the symbols panel, go to Window, Symbols, and I want you to open that panel. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. I can just click it and drag it. See the green plus? And it's telling me there's a new symbol. Yes, I'm going to call it MB because I know that's for my initials. It is not a movie clip. It needs to be a graphic. And you can leave it set as a dynamic symbol, and you can leave this set where that is at and hit OK. Now you can see that MB showed up right there. Okay. Another way that you can do this is hit the page or the new symbol button. It looks like a new page, new symbol. And then again, you would come up here and you would do the same thing and the same settings. But I don't need to do that because I already did. So you can either hit the new symbol or you can simply click and drag it until you get the green plus. Now we see that my initials is in the symbols panel. So if you're on computer number 1 and you're logged in as yourself with your school username and ID, username and password, excuse me, you want to make sure that you've got your brush in Photoshop. But so I can double check that by going here, and I can see that it's there, and I can see it in the panel. But you also want to make sure over here in Illustrator, under the symbols panel, that you have that as well. So then how do you utilize a symbol? Okay, let's pretend that this whole thing, we've created a design. Let's give it, now here's where we have to change it back to RGB because I made it a color. Okay. So I'm going to put, let's say that's my background, and let's say, let me lock that really fast so it doesn't move around, and then I can put some stars on here, if it lets me. Let's see. Okay, there we go. And I can do some more. We'll do regular star, and let's do, delete that and make him bigger and change his color. So let's pretend that we have a thoughtful design. We followed an assignment or a project, or we did something for a client and we've created whatever. Obviously this is not that. But if you've got your work here and now you need to sign it. So let's click off to the side. Nothing is selected. I'm on the black arrow. I'm going to go over here to the symbols and I'm going to click and drag my MB and I'm going to drop it there. Now it's kind of bold and in your face. So let me drop the opacity down. So maybe about 50, and it would be gray. Now it doesn't have to be gray. It started out as black. I could change that to, excuse me, I could change that. I believe I can change that in here to anything. Oh, it's not going to cooperate for me. Let me back up and, oh, actually that's untrue. We cannot change the color of a symbol. There would be a few more steps in doing that. So save it as black. That'll be the most universal way to do this. And save it as black. And then we can always drop the opacity and it'll kind of have that gray look to it. Okay. So I did save it as black. It's in my symbols and there it is. I can stamp it and save it to my work. So this is how you would title your work and how we would know that you are in fact the original creator of the work. Nobody else could take it and claim it as their own by mistake. So if you have any questions, let me know, but hopefully this was helpful. One really quick thing I need to point out. Let me go backwards and change something so I can use it as an example. Okay, if I am over here and I take this and I drag it over, okay, I want to, let's say I want to make this really small, but we can see, oh, it's not doing it. It is cooperating for us. If ever you have a moment where you're making something bigger or smaller and the outline or the stroke is not cooperating for you, you need to go to Illustrator, Preferences, and General, and then you need to select Scale, Strokes, and Effects. So that way, and this is doing that correctly. So when I make it bigger and smaller, the border around it, the stroke around it is in fact cooperating with the size of the document. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Hope this was helpful. Thank you. Bye-bye.